everyone. So I wanted to bring my full story out to the world and share it with all of you. So I struggled with fulfillment and direction and confidence for a lot of my life. I struggled a lot. It about started in middle school when my confidence really started to take a hit. And this was also the time that a chronic undiagnosed depression started because I had lost a horse that was really close to me, and she was like my serenity away from school and everything else. And I was somebody who was always really great in school, always had tons of goals, always knew what I was doing with my life. And in 8th grade I decided that I would be a horse trainer. I was going to train horses, I was going to teach people how to ride, and I was going to run a business, and this is the college I was going to, this is what I was going to do when, everything that I was going to do in high school, everything that was going to set me up for all of it. And I had my entire life mapped out before I turned 14. And fast forward, I went through high school, I struggled to make friends, I struggled to really express who I was as a person. I just hid inside my shell a lot and for a long time. And I got to college and I decided I was going to reinvent myself. I was going to recreate who I wanted to be because I didn't like who I was. And so college, I decided I was going to work on breaking out of my shell, making new and different friends, and I was going to become who I wanted to be. And then I was also going to be this horse trainer. Well, thankfully, my mom told me, you should double major in business, just in case. Just, have it as a backup. If you want to run your own business, maybe it'll give you some foundations and some teachings that you can take and use and apply there. And I'm really glad she told me that, because I got halfway through my second year in my dream college and my dream job, and I hated it. Absolutely hated it. Horseback riding, if you don't know, is my passion, and it is my escape from the world. And I didn't want to go to a barn. I didn't want to see a horse. I didn't want to get on a horse. I didn't want to have another trainer tell me what to do, tell me how to ride. I had 6 at the time, so obviously it was overwhelming. And I just hated it all. I was so done. And when you burn out of your passion, I don't know if you've ever experienced it, but it is the worst feeling. You feel so lost because the thing that I had been planning to do for, I don't know how long it had been at that point, 6 or 8 years or something, that I think it was 6, that I had figured my entire life out. All of a sudden it wasn't my life anymore. It's not what I wanted. And it kind of crushed me for a long time. And I was really lost because I had never entertained any other options and never given myself a chance to really even explore a different kind of college. I mean, I looked at 3 colleges that were basically identical, just in different states. And so I just chose to go to OU, and because one of my friends was going there, it looked beautiful and it seemed cool, and it was totally different. It was about 20 times the size of the school that I was currently at. So I said, okay, whatever, just change it all, rip it all apart, I don't care, whatever, we're just gonna do something different. And I decided to major in business once again because I really love to lead people, and I wanted a job where I could do that. But I didn't pick a specialty because I still didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life, right? I thought I do want to be an entrepreneur at some point because I did want to run my own horseback riding business, but I didn't know what that new business was going to be. So I just muscled through, did what I was supposed to do, finally became a person that I really liked and really loved through college and the 4.5 years that I was there. I took half a victory lap. It was because of transferring in credits. And then I got to the end of college. Now's the time to figure out what you want to do, right? Find a job, go get a job like everybody else. Okay, right, I had no idea what I wanted to do still. And I was still struggling. And everybody else, it seemed, was going into the big 4 accounting firms. They were going to consulting firms. They were doing all these amazing things, from their internships that they'd gotten all these incredible opportunities. I hated my internship, no surprise. And I thought, okay, well, what do I do now? So I ended up in financial planning. And if any of you know me from when I was in financial planning, I was quite different than the person I am now. And I was sold a version of financial planning that wasn't what it ended up being. But I still muscled through anyways. I found out there was a massive dropout rate in the industry, and I was bound and determined to fight through it, even though it was destroying me. It was completely crushing me. It was really hard. And I learned so much. I learned so much about finance, so much about investments, setting up a great financial picture, which was amazing. It was incredible to have that kind of background and that kind of training so early on after college. But the way that I went about it, being on full commission, struggling, I was struggling to put gas in my car every month. It was so hard. It was so demoralizing. And my self-worth got completely crushed, completely destroyed from it, because also at the same time, I was in a really unhealthy relationship, which was also contributing to the destruction of my self-worth. And so I was just crumbling as a person. And I got to a breaking point at about 18 months in that I was just completely done. I could not be in financial planning anymore. I could not be doing full commission anymore. I thought, you know what? I'll just go work for a bank. I'll go be like everybody else. I just want to be middle class, because I grew up with parents that struggled. Money was always tight. They could barely pay for my once a week riding lesson, and we never had any extra left over. It was very hard, and I grew up in a family that said you have to work really hard and money is always tight. And then I wondered why I had a lot of struggles around making money. Self-limiting beliefs, thank you. And so I decided, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go be middle class. I'm gonna be like everybody else. I'm gonna go work at a bank. I'm gonna make $40,000 a year, and it's gonna be great. Life is gonna open up, because I was used to making $5,000, $10,000 a year. I really was not making much. And so 40 seemed like so much money to me, right? Neither of my parents had ever made that singularly in 1 year. So I was like, wow, I'm gonna be way better off than my parents individually, and it's gonna be easy. Life is gonna be so easy. I can pay for what I want. I can ride the horses that I want. I can go to horse shows. I can do all these things. Well, first I had to pay off all the debt that I had accrued because of financial planning, all the credit card debt, plus the student loan debt that was still on me from college, right? And I was in that very middle class, very boring, very administrative bank job, thinking, okay, this is just my in, I'm just gonna get here, I'm here, and then I can move up, and it's gonna be great, and life is gonna start to be easier, and it's gonna even out, and I'm gonna be like everybody else. It's gonna be great, right? Well, I was bored after month 2. Okay, all right, it's fine, it's fine. We're still making money, we're still paying down the debt at this point, because it took me about 6 months to pay off $5,000, which is really good. And I will include that in another segment or video course about how I did that. But after I had paid off all the debt, gone to a massive conference, I thought, okay, what's next? What can I really do? And it was about this time last year, about March of 2019, that I decided, okay, what is my next step? Because I had finally gotten over all of the debt that I had accumulated. I had worked up to be more than 6 months into that new job, and I was starting to get a hang of it, and I was starting to get a hang of the company. And so I was reaching out to new resources and figuring out what was my next move there. And nothing was really catching my eye. And I had been in jobs constantly that I disliked ever since college. I loved my student job in college, and that was the last job I had liked. So I didn't want to go to just another job that made more money that I hated again. So I struggled through it. I got a career course. I thought, okay, here we go. This is my ticket. It'll tell me what I'm supposed to do with my life. I did it. I tried it. The answers I came up with weren't great. I wasn't impressed with them. It was consulting like everybody else. And it was like do I really want to do that? I watched a YouTube video about it and still wasn't inspiring to me. I still wasn't excited. I wasn't like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go be a consultant. And so it was about the fall last year, and I had reached out to somebody that I had been following for a while, and we had talked. And because I was finding that I was repeating a lot of the same lessons and patterns that kept coming up in my life, with relationships, with jobs, with people, with situations. And I had gotten to a point in my life around that time where I was withdrawing again. I was hiding in that shell again. And I thought, no. I've worked so hard to break out of this shell ever since I left high school. I'm not going back in. And I was going back in. And especially from financial planning, if you know me, I networked a lot and I loved it. I love networking. I think it's so much fun meeting new people. And I had gotten to a point where I didn't want to meet new people. I didn't want to go out. I didn't want to do anything. I just wanted to hang out with my same little 3 group of friends. And that was it. That's all I wanted. And I was like, you know what? That's not me anymore. I've changed. I've grown. And it's not reflecting in my life. What am I doing? What's wrong? What's blocking it? So when I reached out to this coach, originally it was because I felt like I was having the same relationship issues that I had in the past. Well, as we started to dig into it, I realized it wasn't relationship issues I was having. It was issues with myself I was having. I was completely disconnected from who I really was and who I wanted to be and who I was striving to be and who I really was underneath. I was completely blocking my soul and my true self from shining because I was letting all of the expectations of other people, my parents, society, what I thought I was supposed to do, I was letting that block who I really was. And that is part of the reason why I became a coach, because I know that other people are struggling with that. And just because we live in a society where technology is really prevalent and everybody knows they can do whatever they want to do, doesn't mean they actually step forward and do it. And doesn't mean that they don't have things that are holding them back. And there's still a lot of people struggling. And I want to help people get out of that struggle. And even if that is working for someone else, at least finding something that you enjoy and you're happy doing and that fulfills you. Because I understand what it's like to not be fulfilled and not be fulfilled in your career for years. It took about 3 years of unfulfillment, more than 3 years of unfulfillment to get out of it. And I know people live their whole lives unfulfilled with their careers, but for me, that just didn't work. I wanted to be able to love my job because I was around people who said, oh, I love what I do. I love my job. I was so jealous. I just wanted to be able to love my job. And I was sick of hearing myself say, I hate my job, I hate my job. And I was sick of hearing myself tell me that I didn't like how I was acting again. And so through this program, I realized that the chronic depression that I felt like I had been suffering since I lost that horse in middle school was actually something that I could work through. And I thought that I was going to struggle with that forever. It wasn't that bad. It was high level. I could work through it, but it would hit all of a sudden and I didn't know how to process it because I completely blocked feeling emotions. I completely blocked feeling anything. I was numb for about 12 years. I didn't cry for about 12 years. I maybe cried once at a grandparent's funeral. 12 years. I was in middle school, high school, and college during those 12 years. And for a girl to not cry at all, there's something wrong. There's something really wrong, and there's something that's really blocking. And so that was something that I struggled with, and I didn't know how to express my feelings. And I felt like something was wrong with me because I thought, this is not okay. I can't even show anything. I wanted to cry, but I couldn't access my emotions. And to be completely disconnected from yourself hurts. It's painful. It's a really hard experience to go through. And if anybody else is feeling even a sliver of this, know that you can get through it. You can make it through. And because if I could make it through after 12 years of not crying, you can make it through. Unfortunately, the thing that triggered me to cry again was going through a really bad breakup of that unhealthy relationship. So sometimes you just have to feel even more pain to release it. But then I had withdrawn again with my emotions and tried to make it numb again. And then through this program that I went through with this coach, I realized that being numb doesn't fix it. Being numb just causes you more pain, and you just cause yourself more self-suffering. And so through this, I was able to overcome a lot of things, but it also awoke me to a lot more practices and a lot more spiritual stuff that I really resonated with, and that even helped me to make a bigger transition and bigger transformation in my life. And so I learned to reconnect to my intuition, and I learned to use other tools to do it as well. And that was part of the thing that was also missing. So I wasn't feeling my emotions, I wasn't feeling fulfilled, I wasn't connected to myself, I couldn't access my intuition. And I was anxious because of it too. Because when you are frustrated and you can't figure out what you want to do, you're just this whole ball of just, oh my God, what's going on? What's gonna happen to me? What's gonna happen now? What's gonna happen next? What if I don't do this? What if I don't do that? And you're just going back and forth, and you're just so scared. There's just so much fear, and there's so much fear of failure ruling your life as well, because I just didn't want to fail again. I felt like I had failed so many times, and I was like, you know what? I don't want to take another risk to fail. But through reconnecting to myself and really digging in deep of what was blocking me, what was holding me back, what was I really afraid of, and how could we fix it, then I started to realize just bigger, deeper truths of it's a lot harder to fail when you're connected and doing what you want to do and not what somebody else tells you to do. And when you finally figure out who you are and why you're here and why you want to be here and what you want to be doing, it's just such a relief. And it took me a little while, even after that course, to figure it out. It took about another 6 months-ish to accept what I could actually be good at. And sometimes that happens too, where you block yourself from doing the thing that others say, you'd be really great at coaching, right? They'd be like, you're so positive, you have such great responses to things, you ask good questions, you'd be a really good coach. But the thing was, I didn't want to be like everybody else. And I wasn't confident enough in myself once again. I hadn't gone through that course to rediscover myself and my own confidence. And once I did, things started to unlock. I started to make bigger shifts, bigger moves in my life. And it put me in positions to also meet other people that prompted more shifts. I started to see how other people were living that were close to me, and realizing that, yes, I can be an entrepreneur. I have had control over my own schedule, and I was great with it before. I can do it again. And it's just been an amazing experience realizing the blocks and all of the hangups and all of the boxes I was trying to fit myself into, realizing that I didn't need to fit myself into any of them. None of them needed to be there. They weren't my boxes to fill. I had different boxes that I wanted to be in, that I was supposed to be in, that I get to be in now. I mean, maybe I'm in a box, maybe I'm not sure. Who cares? Whatever. We create our own lives. And it's been so exciting to be able to find out that you can really create your own reality from what you believe and what you think. And when you change that, your reality starts to shift. And I'm really excited to be able to bring that to other people and really direct them into overcoming their fears of the future, of failure, of the past, which is depression, and overcome all of those pains that they're holding on to that don't need to be their narrative anymore, and really release that and realize that they can be fulfilled in their lives and that they can do something that really excites them and help them get there and help them figure that out and find themselves again and reconnect to themselves and find out what helps them live a happier life and what lights them up and what gets them excited for the day. And I just would love to see that transformation in other people, because I know what a profound impact that made for me, and I'm so excited to be able to see that in others, and really excited to share with other people on how to get there, and a lot of the questions that I've devised in the program that I've come up with and created, that I'm really excited to see how it works and see what other people get from it. And I really hope that also this video, either resonated with you, or you learned something about me, or maybe you can identify with parts of my story, or have common ground somewhere that makes you feel like the struggles you're going through, you're not alone. I've gone through a lot, I've overcome a lot of obstacles, and that you can overcome them as well, and that nothing is insurmountable, and you can really recreate your own life and have the power to do it, no matter what other people tell you that you can't, or that you need to be stuck in that box. You don't have to be. And so I'm really excited to be able to help people to break free and be themselves. So thank you for watching this video, and thank you for watching my story all the way through. It's been 20 minutes now. And if you want to learn more about what I do, who I am, my story, feel free to reach out. I'd love to share. And thanks for watching again.